Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 2 of the anime series, Masamune-kun's Revenge. And this is actually kind of an interesting episode. It really answered one of my largest speculations as to who the chief amongst all of the characters in the background could be the one who knows of Makabe's past as the so-called Pig's Foot. The sort of chief suspect amongst them all that at least, stood out to me was Koiwai, the sort of right-hand chick of Aragaki Aki. And that absolutely proved to be true. And it was kind of interesting we have that revealed to us. Is she like psycho or something? I don't know. After suffering years and years of abuse at Aki's hand, and she's wielding a knife, and she, captures Makabe in like one of these rope pulley situations attached to a tree. And something that I found to be somewhat surprising is that she actually wants to aid and assist Makabe into putting Aki in her place, giving her a taste, as he puts it, of her own medicine. And that's intriguing to me, but I have to wonder if Koiwai is really being wholly truthful. Like, maybe there's more to her story, maybe there's more going on. She seems very simple and sort of, sweet and everything like that. She's going to get Aki her lunch of like 5 sandwiches and 6 buns or something like that. Even after, Aki has already consumed, platter after platter of things because of her hypoglycemia and whatever, needing to keep up those carbs and all those things. And she ends up, it's the lunchtime rush when this happens. So Koiwai, because she is so simple and she's not authoritative and she's not overbearing, she gets knocked on her butt, and we get the, sort of fan servicey panty shot, and this happens twice in the episode. Okay, I get she's a klutz or whatever, but I mean, do we really need to keep seeing this? It was that necessary. And of course, Makabe comes to her rescue sort of inadvertently, and you have to wonder, with this revelation that she is the one who left the note, that she is the one who knows he is the Pig's Foot, might she have done this on purpose? Might she have this, long-standing desire to get after Aki as well, and to get her back for all the years her family has been in the employ of Aki's family as servants and maids and all this kind of stuff? Could it be that it's her own long-standing desire to want to get back at Aki, and she sees Makabe coming in, knowing who he is, kind of getting an idea of what he's about, what he's trying to do, and maybe she sees this as a shoe in the door to, basically get a sort of her own sense of revenge on Aki as well, by sort of exploiting his seeking of that. And will that perchance see Makabe end up, sympathizing with Aki down the line? Might we find that Koiwai is actually much more devious and maybe evil, and as Aki seems to be at face value, maybe Koiwai is hiding a lot of years of that pent-up frustration, and she's gonna, end up being sort of a villain character, even more so, that Makabe might want to like back away from and be like, look, I think we're going a little too far in trying to humiliate Aki the way she does everyone else. But of course, it ends up working to his benefit to a degree to have, Koiwai in his sort of employ, if you will. They're working together as a co-op because Koiwai wants to help him get back at Aki, and his whole plight of trying to overcome his lack of confidence, he's still very much newfound to this sense of being popular, the air quotes hot guy and all this stuff, and he kind of comes off, as I talked with you guys back and forth in the comments on my episode 1 discussion video, he kind of comes across as douchey, thinking so bigly of himself. Bigly, there's your term for the year, apparently. To think so highly of himself that he is so popular. You do see that he's still, there's a resonating sense of all of that bullying that came before the Pig's Foot name. It really kills him that he still has this sadness, what he was put through in his past. And I'm sure there is more to the story. I don't think it's just going to be chalked up to, one day he professed his love to Aki and she turned him down and called him a name, and that was it. I think this was probably something that had been going on for some time, for them to have a picture taken of themselves. You see the chubby Makabe standing next to Aki, and they're in the window in the background. That's how we find out Koiwai was there all along as well. But there must have been some time they were spending together, at that time, and it would be interesting to find out that Aki actually did have like feelings for him, but because she's just a girl, you know, she was kind of pushing him away and expected him to bounce back and come back and try to fight for her, air quotes. These are things that actually, you know, sort of cropped up in my mind looking at the OP. There's that final shot of the OP where it's almost as though Aki is dead, and you kind of call back to the whole Romeo and Juliet thing, and you know, he's trying to go kiss her where she's seemingly surrounded by flowers. And I mean, on the one hand, it was like, well, is this foreshadowing? Is she going to die at some point? Or are they just hearkening back to that, you know, lovelorn, unrequited love of the, you know, Romeo and Juliet story? How does that come into play? Could it be that Aki, you know, being a sort of very sort of tsundere, I guess you could say, child, was pushing Makabe away and expected him to come back and fight for her, wanted a, you know, a man to come and fight for her, to feel like she was wanted. And, you know, I mean, they were children at the time, so I don't think it's going to go quite that in-depth, but you never know with anime. I mean, you know, these kids seem to know what love is at the age of 3 with some of these characters. But it is interesting. It's highly, highly intriguing that now Makabe has Koiwai being able to be someone he can kind of call upon and work in tandem with. But I do feel like Koiwai has moved up in this episode from being the sort of innocent, very put upon Cinderella-esque character he thinks of her as, you know, and she seems much more devious and conniving and maybe up to stuff as well. And who knows how far down the rabbit hole that goes. You know, will she become a villain? I don't know, or villainess in any case. And I thought it was the whole exchange where, you know, Makabe's running into the class rep chick. I thought it was highly sweet, but like bittersweet at the same time, because, you know, he's trying to get up the courage to ask Aki for her email, and he figures, well, I'll do a test run. I'll ask the class rep for her email first, and you know, he ends up running into her in the hallway because he's going the wrong way or whatever it is. He just transferred into the school, so of course the class rep is concerned he doesn't know how to find his way, and she's got all these like stacks of paper and everything like that she's got to carry and deliver, so he's going to help her out. And so he musters up enough courage to almost barely get it out, and it's arguable whether or not the class rep could sense where he was going with that. He did say email. He did just barely get that word out. So I don't know if she was perceptive of what he was trying to ask. But then, of course, there's that point where another like class rep or somebody from another class is saying, well, the school beautification group or whatever it is, the committee, I guess they go around cleaning up the school grounds. At first, I thought they were talking about, you know, like this was a beautician group where, you know, this was who we saw in the one scene Aki was being primped up by, you know, the 3 girls or whatever, doing her hair, doing her nails. I thought that's what it meant. And he was going to try to get in the door and get closer to her that way. But in fact, it was going around the school grounds and doing maintenance and things and cleaning it up. And you know, he basically volunteers and signals to the class rep, well, you know, I wouldn't do this normally, but it's for you. You know, I'm doing this for you. I'd like to help you out, because of how, you know, she came and basically answered to being concerned for him. And he's returning the favor. And I knew in that moment, the way she reacted to it, that she was misinterpreting probably what was going on there, that maybe he was actually interested in her. Oh, first he's trying to ask for my email. Now he's saying he's going to do this, but he's doing it for me, to help me, to thank me or whatever like that. And, you know, of course we have that confrontation where she tracks him down and she's basically worked up the courage in herself to ask him out on a date. Forget exchanging emails. Let's go out to a movie sometime. And I damn near face-palmed because of course, Makabe is so bent backwards about getting back at Aki. His mission, he snaps to right out of his reverie of, oh my God, I'm alone with this girl. She's asking me out on a date and all these things. And he's like, oh, no, I can't do that. I have to get back at Aki. That's my mission statement. That's the thing I have to focus on. I'm like, you dumbass. You could have something so great, so fun, so beautiful. This girl genuinely likes you. She's a genuinely nice person. She was caring about, you know, your circumstance in this school, being a brand new school. Forget Aki, you could have this girl, you know, you might hit it off with her and get to know her and all this kind of stuff. She seems very sweet and genuine. But no, he's got to focus on his revenge plot. And he shoots her down, and she's kind of, you can tell she's upset and she feels awkward about it. She's like, oh, I understand you're busy, and she runs away. I wanted to choke Makabe in that moment, like, you dumbass. Oh man. And then another aspect of the episode that actually really surprised me. I think I had said in the comments, I don't remember if I actually said in my episode 1 discussion video, but his friend in class, Kojiro, I thought this was a chick. I thought this was possibly another romantic interest. Lo and behold, in the episode, he refers to Kojiro as he. And then I ended up looking up the sort of character biographies. Kojiro is a dude. It's his best friend in this class. And for all intents and purposes, I'm sure I'm hearing a chick's voice, voicing the character. The character design looks effeminate and everything like that. I thought this was possibly another romantic interest. Turns out it's just his best chum in the class, and this character is going to go on to have his own unrequited love with another character whom I'm not sure if we've even met yet. So that actually astounded me when I realized, oh wait, Kojiro's a dude. Oh, okay. Completely missed that one by a mile. They didn't really explain that to my remembrance of the first episode in any way, shape, or form, but, whatever. So, of course, does Makabe, he's overheard in this exchange between he and the class rep by Aki. It's not really clear how much she overheard, but she makes some snide comment about, oh, it must be so nice to be so popular and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, coming from you, you bitch. So then, of course, he is feeling he's riding that high and he's riding that confidence. He's feeling very confident in himself and asks her outright, you want to exchange emails? Because she says, oh, well, if you wouldn't want to go out with her, who would you want to go out with? Because he passes it off like, oh, well, any number of girls that I might not be interested might come up and ask me out, but it's kind of a it's the hardship of being popular to have to turn them down one after the other, turn them around about face at the door, send them packing. And she says, who would you rather go out with? He says, well, I'd like to go out with you. And she gets this ear-to-ear grin, this just sadistic smile. I knew in that moment she was full of crap. She was completely going to use him and abuse him and do something, manipulate him in some way, shape, or form. He's too blinded by the confidence of shooting the class rep down and now having Aki seemingly in his sights to realize that she's going to manipulate and mess with him. So, of course, she does. I guess they skipped ahead a week because, her phone or whatever was being repaired, air quotes. And, this is the excuse she has for not exchanging the email addresses right then and there. And then I guess we skip ahead to a week later. I don't think it was the next day. I think because they said in the dialogue it'd be a week later, but maybe it was the next day. Maybe it was a mistranslation in the subs. But in any case, he's waiting for her. And he finds a note up at the chalkboard, which then leads him to the teacher's top drawer desk, which then leads him to the animal pen on the roof or whatever it is. And he's led on this grand, spectacle of clues to eventually get led right back to where he started, to look out the window and see Aki down on the first floor courtyard of the school while he's looking down, fifth floor, whatever it is, window. And she holds and unravels a sign that says, declined. I decline, in other words. I am turning you down in this grand, exalted, meticulous, really heinous way of humiliation. And again, it's like, I want to smack Makabe, but then I want to choke that bitch. She's a word I can't use in polite company. It starts with a C, 4 letters. I think you know what I'm saying. And so overall, this was a crazy, crazy episode with all the stuff going on in it. And it definitely lived up to my expectations of keeping me enraptured to every last second. From Kojiro, Makabe's friend being a dude rather than a chick, which was a surprise, to Koiwai's being very integral to wanting to help Makabe out, whether for her own devices, her own reasoning, years, as I say, of abuse. She is experiencing verbal abuse in the here and now by Aki, and she probably has had enough and, sees Makabe as a tool by which to exact her own sense of taking Aki, back a peg, as well as Makabe's own wanting to do that and such like that. The whole class rep chick thing. I mean, for a few seconds there, I thought we were going to end up turning this into somewhat of a harem. He's got all these girls, and this, again, before I knew that Kojiro was not even a girl. But I like that, it's not really going that way where there's romantic interests at every corner. He's making, sort of comradeship with Koiwai. They're going to work together to take Aki down at, subsequently the end of the episode. Koiwai gives him her email address. So that's the only email address he ends up with for the purposes, for all intents and purposes of taking Aki down. I don't know, maybe Koiwai is interested in him, likes him, digs him, whatever it is. That might be interesting if that played out that way. But I think we're angling towards some kind of romantic divide or coming together between Makabe and Aki, whether he starts to sympathize with her, starts to see her in a more sympathetic light, or whatever it is. And will that be ill-fated? Will she die? Will they pull some prank on her where they give her some poisoned sushi and she ends up croaking before the end? Or was that scene in the OP just meant for dramatic effect, to make you think of unrequited love and the Romeo and Juliet thing? All that kind of stuff. The bittersweetness of the class rep, sort of making an overture to him and his shooting her down. There's just so much going on that really has me interested in this show. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 2 of Masamune-kun's Revenge, if you've seen it as well, if you were as, sort of enraptured and brought into the story as I was, found it as compelling as I did in this second episode. Did you think it was predictable, largely not worth your time? Anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. But for me, myself, I'm definitely on board to see where the hell this is going. No holds barred. And so, yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.